Hello and welcome to GMF Talk 2020. We continue to explore the relationship between pluralism and populism and what this means for journalism. And today we're going to look at this tension, not in the political arena, but what it means online. I'll be talking with Nuseir Yassin, who many of you know by the name Nas Daily. Nuseir is one of the most successful and recognized vloggers and personalities on social media. His one-minute videos have reached millions of people around the world. Now, thank you for joining us today, Nuseir.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to an interesting conversation.
And we will sure have that. Now, I'm just going to jump right into my first question here because we really first want to get to know you a little bit. You have created more than 1,000 short videos from your travels around the world where you connect with people and tell the stories that perhaps we might not read about in a travel guide. Why do you think this format has become such a huge success, resulting in 30 million followers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok together? What is it that attracts people to you?
I think people are tired of blonde, white, blue-eyed people, man. I think they're tired of them. I think, look, the truth is, a lot of people feel underrepresented. They feel their stories are not told enough. They feel like that, let's say, Deutsche Welle didn't come to my country and tell my story. We feel like the focus was only on Western issues. And when we talk about the Eastern issues, it's more about things that are bad and negative. And so I think Nas Daily is the opposite of that. Nas Daily started as a way to focus on what's positive, what is constructive, what is amazing in this world, and what we need more of. No matter how sensitive it is, we need to talk about it and get more of it. And I think that's why a lot of people, 30 million people, resonated with this message. This should be a warning sign to every news organization in the world.
And I think we're taking it as that. You mentioned diversity there, which is an issue that's very near and dear to our hearts. But you have managed to really hone in on the issue of diversity. And because of this massive reach that you've created, you are regarded as an influencer. You are described as an influencer. Do you consider yourself an influencer, or how would you describe what you do?
Yeah, so that topic, I think, is very has a lot of stigma with it, and I'm not sure I like it because the best influencer in my life was my teacher. Then it was, also my parents. They influenced my life decisions. So why do we reserve that term for people who put stuff on the internet? Like, why can't we use that term for the teachers and the doctors? They influenced the vaccine. They influenced COVID-19 to be worse. So I'm not the only influencer in the world. There is influence of Nas Daily, but it's not the only one. The better term is content creator. I create content from 0 to 1. That's what we specialize in.
And as a content creator, you have done all these travel videos from around the world. But more recently, you've moved away somewhat from that and you've started engaging more in topical content. You have launched quite an amazing training program, trying to attract 80, I believe, Arabic speakers to create videos. And I'm quoting you here to make the Middle East more accessible and understood by the world. Now, what inspired you to shift gears in this new particular direction?
Yes, so it's funny you say that because when I started Nas Daily, I never wanted them to be about travel videos. That was just training. I was training how to make videos. The true essence of Nas Daily is to be more than just travel, more than just tourism. And slowly, as you become more and more confident, you can talk about topics that are more and more important. Look, at the end of the day, I've realized that, the individual is going to be stronger than the institution in the future. The individual is going to be stronger than the institution. And if that's the case, then we need to train individuals. We need to help individuals succeed. And that's why we started Nas Academy, which is a lot of people see our videos and they say, I want to make a video like this. So we allow them to do that. And we also partner with organizations to train their employees as well as part of Nas Academy. I think the future of education and the future of media is the individual.
Fantastic. So you are really focusing on individualism, but your background is in the Middle East, and there are a lot of problems in that region, which I guess we can say come from a more collectivist mindset in various areas.
Correct.
But the Middle East is important to you. That's your home, your background. You're Arab Israeli,
Unfortunately.
or fortunately, because you get to tell amazing stories from that region as well. As an Arab Israeli, you have highlighted the Middle East issues in your old videos and your more recent ones as well. But you haven't always made friends with that, have you? Some people have even recently called for a boycott of your brand, finding that your stuff is becoming too politically sensitive. So is politics the new frontier for Nas Daily?
Well, do you think coexistence is politically sensitive? That's an assumption that I've come to learn, that we all want peace is an assumption, because some people truly and deeply do not want peace, or at least their definition of peace is different than your definition of peace. Look, at the end of the day, right, they call it the Middle East for a reason. Like, they call it a place with wars for a reason, right? There's nothing you can do in the Middle East that will make everybody happy unless you're making something about food. And even food has become politicized. Now, is politics the next frontier for Nas Daily? I don't know, because politics is in everything. When a professor at a university teaches about abortion, that has become political. So I guess the professor at a university is political. So yeah, Nas Daily is political, because nothing in the world is not political. Even comedy has become political. The Daily Show, Trevor Noah, Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Entertainment has become political. News has become everything has become political. Might as well Nas Daily become political.
So Nas Daily is diving right in, and you're working with a lot of other talented people, like Project Nightfall. You have all these talented personalities in the digital realm around you who inform people about social and political issues, not just in the Middle East, but beyond, around the world, truly now. And this is something that traditionally we used to do, the news media. Some news organizations can only be envious of the kind of follower numbers that you have. But do you think that you, your collaborators and associates, and all the other people around you, other people that some would call influencers, are qualified to look at the complexity of these issues in the way that journalists have been doing for decades and centuries?
So that's a good point. Some of them are not. I can only speak about me personally. Do I feel qualified to speak about economic issues in the world? Yes, I do. I have an economics degree from Harvard, so of course I can speak about it. Do I feel qualified to speak about Palestine and Israel? Well, yes, I do. I'm from Palestine and Israel. Do I feel qualified to speak about tech in the world? Yes, I do. I'm a software engineer. So there are many things that I feel qualified to speak about because it speaks to me. The thing is, the problem with news, it has become so rigid that it left a void. It left some sort of a void on social media that content creators came and filled. And not all content creators are good. Some fill it up for fake news. Some fill it up for divisive stuff, for positive stuff. And it's up to you to decide which content creators are filling it up for the right purposes. But at the end of the day, this future that we are heading to, we're not going back. So if we stall a little bit of your job, if we stole 50% of your job today, we're gonna steal 100% of it tomorrow. So you gotta, it's become a race. So join me.
Yeah, I'm going to think about that, but there are those out there who have a massive audience like you do with their video content, but those people, some of those influencers out there, take a rather narrow-minded viewpoint on certain issues, and they feed into, let's say, populist sentiments and ideas. How do you feel about such people,
Yes.
such influencers who are pushing a more strong political agenda, especially those on the more extreme ends of the political spectrum?
I agree with you. That is a very good question. If you want to become a populist, just go say why Indians are better than Pakistanis, and millions of Indians will share that. You want populism? Go make a video saying Serbia is better than Kosovo, or Serbians are better than So it is very, very, very dangerous, this world that we have reached into. I think the solution to this is not to go and ban content creators, although I wish we could do that. Um, the solution to it is to look into the algorithms, how the algorithms work in social media websites like Facebook and YouTube and whatnot, and make sure that those algorithms do not allow for populism, do not allow for fake news and all that stuff. That's the only way to fix this problem. And right now, there are many loopholes, I can tell you that.
Well, you mentioned the algorithms there, and that's what I was going to ask you next about, actually, because the issue of populism is not just one about people, it's also about platforms. And your main
Yes.
platform for a long time has been Facebook. You've branched out, but Facebook was the place where you started and where you expanded. And in recent months, Facebook has once more come under fire for some of its business practices. Do you still feel comfortable with Facebook as your major distribution channel, or TikTok, which you also joined, which also is facing troubles?
Um, for sure. Do you still feel comfortable living in Germany when there's a lot of neo-Nazis? Like, of course, I still feel comfortable on Facebook. That doesn't those problems do not mean that the whole platform is net negative. Do not mean that you gotta boycott the platform. Are you gonna boycott Germany anytime soon for having its past? No. The thing that we must realize is I think Facebook is imperfect, but I think Facebook is a net positive in the world, although it has a lot of negatives. And I trust the people that are working in those companies to turn their creation into a net positive. They are the smartest people in the world. I've interacted with them, I've met them. I trust them more than I would trust a government employee. And because of that, I'm optimistic about the future. And I know we may disagree on this, but I'm optimistic about the future. I think now the platforms have serious problems, but I want to do whatever I can do to help them make them better.
And what is it that you are doing to help to make them better? What are you contributing?
So we have a lot of, we have a lot of product calls, like discussing different products on, because Nas Daily has become one of the biggest creators on Facebook. So we talk to Facebook all the time. We're like, how should the comment section look like? How should the share button look? How should the algorithm look like? So they take our feedback all the time to make sure it's working better for us. And also, we try to be an example of what responsible content creation is. Now, I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm not here to say I'm perfect, but I've pretty much tried my best to create responsible content. The reason people want to boycott in the Middle East is because I am not promoting war enough. I am not populist enough, because I am not rallying up the troops enough to defeat Israel. That the calls for populism, for hate, are coming against Nas Daily because we are trying our best to be responsible with this weapon, which is called algorithms and engagement and social media. And I think a lot of people need to be more responsible with it as we go forward.
You mentioned Germany a minute ago as a metaphor for boycotting things or not boycotting things. But the country, Germany, has truly addressed its past and is doing a lot to have a sense of reparations about its past. Do you
Yes.
think when we're talking about these social media platforms who might currently be facing huge problems, from allegations of election fraud to all kinds of other issues with personal data. Do you think there will be a day in the not so far future where we might maybe get an apology from some of the CEOs?
That's a good question. Yeah, probably. Probably. I wish I was the CEO. I'll give you an apology right now, but maybe. Were there mistakes being created? Yes. Do I think the media selectively focuses on a specific CEO? Also, yes. Do I think the reason I believe that aliens exist, when I was 15 years old, 15 years ago, I believed aliens were real. You know why? Because of fake news on the YouTube platform. I saw a video called UFO in Los Angeles, and I believed it 15 years ago before the elections. So what I'm saying is, I think we should look at this problem holistically. The internet is creating this problem, specifically social networking sites. And yes, we need to address those as well moving forward in the future.
I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. I'd just finally like to hear from you what you think people can do, especially using all these digital tools and opportunities, to promote a more pluralistic and peaceful society in the face of growing division across the world, each one of us.
Shameless plug. Join Nas Academy. Join Nas Academy. The reason I say this is because, or you don't have to join Nas Academy. Learn how to make videos. Okay? That's the only way to get your story. The only way you can become powerful is when you tell your own story. And if you are uncomfortable with the neo-Nazis or with the populists or with the whatever, tell your own story. Most likely, many people will agree with it and they will want peace just as much. The reason 30 million people follow Nas Daily is not because I promote hate, it's because I try my best to promote peace. And peace does get you people to care. You know, so does hate, but peace is the much better alternative. So I would advise everybody, buy a camera, get on a social networking site, start making videos about the issues you think matter, and then before you know it, millions will follow you.
Okay. Content creation for world peace. I like that. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your unique views and for having a good laugh with us as well. And we hope that next year we'll be in a position to invite you actually to Germany to speak in front of a room of 2,500 people and share what insights you've gathered in this very tumultuous year. In the meantime, I wish you health and I wish you all the best and hopefully speak to you soon again. Take care.
Vielen Dank, and see you tomorrow. Thank you.